Hi, everyone. This is Sarah. Welcome to today's episode. So, today we're going to be talking about how to actually save money at the grocery store. And I know that we've talked about that before, but I did get a comment the other day on a social media platform, and it was kind of a disgruntled follower. And they basically said, I don't understand how I can stock up on things when I don't have any money. You obviously are privileged and rich, and so, it must be easy for you. So, I wanted to address that a little bit. And then I want to go into talking about other ways to prepare. And we're talking about preparing for, weather related events, socioeconomic issues, kind of like what we're seeing right now, ways to kind of, you know, be ahead of the game, be a step ahead. So when hard times come, we know how to, face that head on. So again, my name is Sarah, and I just want to thank you for being here today. If you could just take a minute, if you're listening on your podcast, if you could please, follow, the Faith Homestead podcast. And if you're listening on YouTube, if you could please like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. So, what kind of comment did I get the other day on social media? So, I had a subscriber comment and say, it must be nice to be able to stockpile when you have all this money and you're privileged and you're able to do that. And I have no money and I'm not able to do that. So there's a couple parts of this that I want to address. And normally I get so many comments on social media. I don't let them bother me. And this one didn't bother me either. So I'm not bringing it up for that reason. But I am bringing it up because if one person thought like that, there are many people that think like that. And I want to address that because there's this misconception that when you are a person that prepares, that you must just go out and spend hundreds of dollars to get yourself prepared for, let's say, natural disaster or economic unrest. But that's not the case. I have never gone out and spent $1,000 to stock my house up for 6 months. I have, over a period of time, periodically I've stocked up. So, addressing this comment, there's a few things I want to talk about. The first thing is that every single person, unless you are so beyond the poverty line, has an extra $5 per week. Now, that's not to say that you may have to go without something else to be able to acquire that $5. You may have to not have, fast food or buy your coffee. You may have to make a commitment to cancel a $5 subscription to a streaming service. But there are ways to trim the fat, like I like to say, to be able to afford, an extra $20 a week on groceries. What can you get with $20? So if you go to the grocery store weekly, you would be spending $5 per week. If you go biweekly, it would be 10. Things that you can get for, 5 and 10 and $20. You're going to follow the sale ads. You're not going to buy anything unless it's in that sale ad. So this week, if you see that, Progresso soup is 4 for $5, you're going to buy 4 cans of soup because that's probably the biggest bang for your buck that you're going to get. Now, you may also see that a boxed meals are 2 for $3, and then you have an extra $2. Maybe it's beneficial to buy a 10-pound bag of rice or a 5-pound bag of beans. Things that you're able to stock up on that you can store away, that are foods that you do eat. You never want to stock up on things that you don't eat. I learned that the hard way. I started prepping. I like to say it with air quotes because there, again, like I mentioned in our last episode, my husband Matt was talking about, people hear the word prepper and they just think, oh my goodness, they're crazy doomsday preppers. They're getting ready for the zombie apocalypse. They're storing, thousands of guns in their bunker. Like, that's not what I mean when I talk about our prepping. When I talk about our prepping, it's really important to not stock up on things that you're not going to eat. And like I mentioned last week, and my husband mentioned last week, you only want to stock things that you're going to eat, and you want to use it on a constant rotational basis. So if you're not going to ever eat pinto beans, even though they're cheap, you shouldn't buy them. You should only buy types of beans that you will eat. Now, you may be thinking to myself, Sarah, I don't cook dry beans. Okay, then you should probably stick to canned beans. If you like black beans, but you've never prepared black beans from a dry form, it's very simple. And I personally think that you should have both. Now, why should you have both? Isn't one more expensive than the other? Yes, canned beans are going to be more expensive than dry beans. However, and I'm going to get into this a little bit later, is dry beans are cheaper. You get a lot more for less money. However, dry beans take fuel and time. Might not seem like a big deal, but if you are in the middle of a hurricane and your power goes out for 10 days, you might have some ways to cook. You might have some propane. You may have some wood. You might have other ways. But are you going to cook beans for a very long time when you have limited fuel? Now, yes, you can soak them overnight, and that will save you a lot of time. But these are things that you need to think about. So it is imperative that you have dry beans and canned beans for situations like that. Now, if you were to stock up on beans and rice and other things that are, good for your pantry that you will eat, over a period of time, you're going to have a stockpile. It's just the way it is. If you buy extra things every single week and you put those into your rotational pantry, you're going to see that eventually you have more items than you did the weeks prior. Another part of this comment that I wanted to address, and I don't think this comment was a comment that people leave to work you up, like a bot comment or a spam comment. I really think the person was, generally upset and kind of thought that I was speaking from a very privileged point of view. And I'm not going to say that I have no privilege. I'm very grateful for the things that I have. However, my husband and I have started from a very low point, and we are working our way up every single day of every single year. We don't qualify for any government assistance. And I will tell you, and as a middle-class American, it is actually, this is my personal opinion, it is actually very difficult to survive in 2022 America as a middle-class family, because we do not qualify for anything because my husband's income is higher. So that means that we don't qualify for any food assistance, any medical assistance, any type of assistance whatsoever. And I'm not complaining about that. But what I will say is, because of the price of groceries and everything else going up right now, a massive amount of our monthly income goes to groceries. So because I am not in a position where we do get government assistance, I have to be exceptionally strategic on how I run my household. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I have to live a certain way for my family to function to the best of our ability. That person that made a comment on my social media said that they were broke, they were poor. And I'm sorry for their situation, if it's true, which I do believe it's probably true. I don't think people are going to just randomly say things like that. And you can kind of, I feel like, assess those comments. However, if someone is in a situation where they absolutely cannot spare an extra few dollars a week to buy groceries, to prepare, and to stock up their household, then these people probably qualify for assistance in the state that they reside. So, with that said, if you are eligible because you are in a situation where times are tough, you've lost a job, your spouse has lost a job, you are struggling to keep steady work. I do understand that there are people that need to take advantage of government assistance. And I think that if you are in a situation where you are actually in need, then you should. But that person that made the comment didn't, they should look into that possibly, and it could be very helpful until they're able to get on their feet. So I want you to understand that if you are really struggling, you should look into your state's help. I am a firm believer that you should move on once you are in a position to not be on that anymore. I think that there is a place for government assistance, but I think that we have an epidemic in our country, and I think that a lot of people get very comfortable and they don't get off of government assistance. So that's just my personal opinion. Again, this is my channel. And some things I'm going to say are maybe may not be popular, but I'm going to say them. So how can you, again, how can you spend $20 extra a week? You need to cut corners. Like I said, you need to possibly ditch your, part up $5 a month streaming that you might have Hulu for $5 a month. You might have to cut that if you want. You need to, it's priorities. You need to prioritize what's more important. Is preparing your family for situations that are unknown more important than a streaming service, 1 out of 5 streaming services that you have? Because let's admit it, we all have more than one streaming service. So what are some other types of preparedness in 2022 that you may not really think of? I mean, there's a lot. So alternative fuels. If you were to lose power right now, a hurricane came through and the grid is down. Without going to the store, how are you cooking your food? How are you boiling water? These are things that you need to think about. And I feel like for most Americans, they have a way. Most Americans would, they have a grill. They have some propane in their grill left over from summer that they may be able to heat water or cook some hot dogs or cook some food for a day or two. But what happens when that propane runs out? Do you have wood? Can you start a fire pit at your house? Do you have little propane tanks, with a little camp stove? These are things that you need to think about. Water. Many of us are on public water. For most of my life, I grew up on wells. It wasn't until we moved to where we're at now that I was on public water. I never, ever was on public water until now. Things to think about. Public water goes off. Wells, in some instances, go off when you lose power. Do you have a way to get water from your well? Do you have a hand pump? You are on public water, so that means that it's gone. Do you have, water catchment systems? Do you even know what a water catchment system is? Do you know how to purify water? Do you know what type of bleach concentration you need to purify water? And for those of you who don't know, if you get rainwater, for example, or water from a creek or water from any nearby water source, the first thing you're going to want to do is strain it. You can strain it with a strainer first, and then you can move to a cheesecloth or a coffee filter. And then you still need to purify it. So you want to bring it to a rolling boil for at least 1 minute. And then you want to add 2 drops of bleach per gallon. But we live in 2022 America right now, where bleach isn't just bleach anymore. Did you know that when you go to the grocery store, it is actually difficult to find the bleach that you would need to actually disinfect water? Most bleaches, if you go to your store this week, are going to say splash less or, less splash. They're not disinfecting bleaches. You cannot use those bleaches to sanitize water. You actually can't even really use those bleaches to sanitize and get rid of, let's say COVID. They won't kill it. Those are not, they've changed it. They have reduced the quality over time because it's more appealing to have bleach that doesn't splash on you when you pour it. I just don't get it. But you need to use disinfecting bleach. These are common sense things that are just not common anymore. I would imagine that half of you that are listening to this did not know that. So that's just something to think about. What if you can't do wash? What if you can't do laundry? You need to have ways to clean up messes. And sure, you might have paper towels for a couple days and you can't go to the store. We've already established this. You can't go to the store. So what are you going to do? You just used your last roll of paper towels. So are you going to just, use bath towels or dish rags? But what happens when you don't have those anymore? So start saving rags now. What are rags? Okay, old underwear, old socks, old t-shirts, any piece of fabric that is not favorable to you anymore, that you would normally just look at when you're folding laundry and you're like, wow, this has too many holes, and you throw it in the trash. No, you need to save it. You need to save it, and it needs to go into a box or a bag, and it needs to be stashed away. And those are rags that in a situation, and it might not even be for a disaster, guys. You might have a spill in your house that is so nasty that you're just like, I don't even want to deal with this, and I can't find paper towels, or I don't have any paper towels right now. So you can use those rags, those old underwear, those old socks, those old t-shirts, and you can wipe it up. You can spray some spray and then wipe it up with another clean rag and then just throw it in a bag and throw it away. How many times, moms, how many times have you ever, I know I've probably done it at least a handful of times. Has a child had such a disgusting blow up with a diaper that, I'm talking like up the back, all over, that you're just like, throw the whole kit out, right? Just throw the whole kit out. But we don't throw the whole kit out. We take their clothes off and we throw the whole entire outfit. Everything gets thrown out. It's not worth the $5. Like, it's just not. And it's okay. So situations like that, these are preparedness things that most people just don't think of. I just started a rag collection last year. I never had rags. But I started, I was going through laundry, and my husband wears like these white undershirts. I'm sure most men wear some type of undershirt or tank top under their professional attire, or even just their regular clothes. And he was, putting holes in them, and they were gross, and they were like, pit stained, they were yellow. And I was like, oh, like, what do I want to do with this? But you save it. And now I save it, and I have a rag bin, even just old towels that, just get holes. Like, you don't need to throw them out. Everything, you want to use it until it's absolutely used to death. Just use it to the end. Okay. Okay. So we're going to talk about one more thing. And I got some comments on this 2 weeks ago, and it's on gardening. And I mentioned gardening very briefly. And gardening tends to be a really intimidating concept for a lot of people, especially people who live in areas where gardening just doesn't sound feasible. So what can you do? So something that I'm getting into right now, and I'm going to be completely transparent and honest, I am very new to it. I have never done this. I have been a traditional gardener from the time I even had any interest in gardening. My mother is a traditional gardener. She's always, rototilled, had tons and tons of vegetables and back-breaking work, out there every day weeding. That is the gardening that I was raised on and that I know. However, there's a lot more to gardening than just old school dirt gardening. Hydroponics is something that I am becoming fascinated with. And I asked my husband for Christmas to get me hydroponics set up because I'm just so excited about it. And we don't normally even exchange gifts, but this year we're like, let's do it. And so we did it. We actually exchanged gifts last year too, but I just think it's nice. It's nice to, be surprised. And we're trying to start implementing it a little bit. We used to have like no gift giving, but we're kind of bringing it back a little bit. But in the meantime, because it's a few weeks away, I was like, I'm going to try hydroponics. And I ended up doing some research online, and people do these things called ball jar hydroponics, where they take a plastic cup, they put a couple holes in it, or just, plastic kind of hard to put holes in. So just puncture it a little bit on the bottom of the plastic cup. And then they place that cup into a ball jar. So just about an inch of water is in that plastic cup. And then they put their vegetable that, let's say they, they have a head of romaine lettuce. You cut your salad, you cut all the romaine off that you're going to use, and you're left with this little like nub at the bottom of the romaine. And that's what you put in the water, and it grows. And I was like, why aren't they telling us this? Why have I gone my entire life, 36 years, having zero clue that I could take celery, carrots, lettuce, other things, and plop it in a cup of water and grow the same thing over again? I had no idea that was a thing. And so I eat romaine lettuce every single day. I probably go through 9 heads of romaine lettuce a week. It's my favorite lettuce. I don't think I could live without it. It gives me life. Romaine is like life to me. It's life-giving. So I normally just cut the romaine. I throw the whatever I'm not going to use in my chicken bin, which is on my stove, and I give it to my chickens, which is also fine because I'm not wasting any of it. The chickens love it. But I decided to try it this week. So 7 days ago. Today's the 7th day. I'm going to show you my romaine. This is my romaine, and it's leaking everywhere, but that's okay. I'm going to take it out. This is 7 days. 7 days. If you're not impressed by that, then I don't think anything on my channel will ever impress you, because to me, that is the beauty of God. This is the beauty of God right here. You can't tell me that that's not pure beauty and pure God right there. This was just a head of lettuce that I got at the store. I sat there on my cutting board and I went dice, 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 and I stopped. And that's the part that I stopped at. I took a cup. I put some holes in the bottom of it. It's just a plastic little cocktail cup. I popped this baby right in there. I put it in my ball jar. And I placed it on my windowsill. I didn't put any artificial light on it, which was really hard for me to understand because I am a grower that I start seeds indoors every March. I start about, I don't know, 400 seeds indoors every March, and they are on artificial light 16 hours a day. And then they go outside around Father's Day. And that's how I start my garden every single year. And that's how I grow. And so I just put this in my windowsill, and it's growing. It's unbelievable. And these are the things that we need to start learning. Okay. We are fully capable human beings. God made us fully capable to do so much, to learn so much. Let's use our God-given talents, and let's start to do things every single day to work towards a more self-sufficient and sustainable future. We are all capable. You are capable. I am capable. So I would just like to leave you guys today with the thought that you are so uniquely made. God did not make any mistakes when he made you, just like he made no mistakes when he made me. I'm here to tell you that if we can grow lettuce in a cup, in a windowsill, think about how much more we can do to be sustainable for ourselves and our family. It starts now. It starts today, guys. Let's focus this week. Today is the first day of the week. It is Sunday. Let's focus our week on learning one new skill that we can use and we can implement to have our family grow and have our family thrive. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. And I hope you guys have a blessed week. Bye-bye.